In 72 hours, 3I/ATLAS, an interstellar object that's traveled millions of years, makes its closest approach to Earth. But scientists Stephen Burns and Barbara Handclough reveal something unsettling. This isn't random. Its trajectory aligns perfectly with our ecliptic plane during a rare planetary configuration involving Jupiter, Earth, and the Sun. Burns, who accurately predicted Japan's recent magnitude 7.6 quake, warns this visitor coincides with unprecedented seismic activity. Is this cosmic timing or something more deliberate? Let's dive right in. Before we go any further, there's something you need to understand about Stephen Burns. This isn't someone throwing predictions at a wall to see what sticks. On November 6th, he issued a specific public warning: heightened seismic risk for Japan within 30 days. The skeptics laughed. The trolls came out in force, calling it pseudoscience and fear-mongering. Then December 5th arrived, and a magnitude 7.6 earthquake ripped through Japan, exactly as he'd forecasted. The silence from his critics was deafening. Burns isn't operating on mysticism. He's tracking space weather patterns, how solar radiation and cosmic forces interact with Earth's tectonic system. And when 3I/ATLAS first appeared on detection systems in July 2024, he noticed something that made him pause. Global seismic activity wasn't just increasing, it was spiking in patterns that aligned with this interstellar visitor's approach. The correlation was too precise to ignore. Then came the December 6th Alaska earthquake, magnitude 7.0 near Hubbard Glacier. What stopped Burns cold wasn't just the quake itself, it was the timing. At the exact moment the ground began shaking in Alaska, a massive solar flare erupted on the sun's surface, not hours apart, not even minutes, simultaneously. Burns had been documenting the Sun-Earth connection for years, but this felt different, amplified somehow. When researchers plotted that Alaska epicenter on a map and drew lines to 3 of Earth's most enigmatic ancient sites, Nazca Lines, Giza Pyramids, and Angkor Wat, they discovered something that defies simple explanation. The earthquake sat at the geometric center of the triangle connecting all 3. Draw a perfect circle through those ancient sites, and Alaska's quake marks dead center. This is where Barbara Handclough enters the picture, and her story is going to challenge everything you think you know about coincidence. Clough isn't a conventional scientist, and she'd be the first to tell you that. She's a consciousness researcher who studied under Cherokee elders, learning oral traditions that stretch back 100,000 years. In 2015, she began writing her Revelations trilogy, and something strange happened. Her work became consumed with tesseracts, 4-dimensional geometric structures that she couldn't explain but felt compelled to describe. Characters in her novel were accessing these tesseracts, using them to move between dimensions, to paint, to heal. Clough wrote it all down without understanding why. Fast forward to July 2024. 3I/ATLAS appears, and suddenly, everything that seemed abstract in her 2015 writings clicked into sharp focus. She realized she'd been tuning into this object's approach for nearly a decade before we could even detect it. The tesseracts weren't just creative fiction, they were real geometric patterns this interstellar visitor was carrying. When Burns calculated 3I/ATLAS's trajectory backwards, he confirmed what Clough had intuitively sensed. The object entered our heliosphere around 2015, the exact year her brain started downloading these geometric forms. At its velocity, crossing the heliopause boundary would have occurred sometime between 2015 and 2017. Which coincidentally overlaps with Oumuamua's arrival, our first confirmed interstellar visitor. Think about what that means. Two interstellar objects entering our solar system within years of each other after potentially millions of years of empty space. The statistical probability of that happening randomly is infinitesimally small. But here's what makes 3I/ATLAS genuinely unsettling. Standard comets don't behave this way. Most enter our solar system at steep, chaotic angles, deflected by gravitational encounters with passing stars or swept up in galactic tidal forces. 3I/ATLAS came in just 5 degrees above the ecliptic plane, the flat disk where our planets orbit. That trajectory suggests remarkable stability maintained over vast distances and timescales, and the velocity is equally puzzling. At 290,000 kilometers per hour, it's moving fast enough to escape our sun's gravity, but slow enough to interact meaningfully with every major body it passes. It executed a precision flyby of Mars in October, then swung past Jupiter, the gravitational heavyweight of our solar system. And now it's bearing down on Earth with the closest approach set for December 21st. That date keeps coming up, and it's not arbitrary. December 21st is the winter solstice when Earth reaches perihelion, our closest annual point to the sun. Burns has documented something he calls the interstellar focus cone, a region where neutral hydrogen gas from outside our solar system gets compressed by solar gravity and ionizes, releasing additional photons. Indigenous cultures have considered this period sacred for millennia. Now we have hard astrophysical data explaining the mechanism behind their intuition. Layer 3I/ATLAS on top of this natural phenomenon, and you have a convergence that may not have occurred in millions of years, possibly ever. Since 3I/ATLAS became visible last July, Earth's behavior has become increasingly erratic. We're experiencing the 6th strongest seismic year on record. Kilauea volcano in Hawaii has erupted 38 times, unprecedented frequency for one of Earth's largest mantle plumes. Ethiopia saw what scientists termed a historic eruption tied to the African superplume. And then there's Campi Flegrei in Italy, a supervolcano that's been escalating exponentially since 2020. What mainstream media refuses to report is the human cost unfolding right now. Residents near Campi Flegrei describe floors heating so intensely that tiles spontaneously pop off. Children can't sleep indoors. Families are putting them on balconies because apartments have become uninhabitable from underground heat. 2 to 3 million people are sitting in a potential death zone, and there's been near total media silence. Clow wrote about Campi Flegrei erupting in her trilogy between 2015 to 2018, years before the exponential activity surge that scientists now acknowledge. Italian volcanologists officially classify it as a supervolcano, and they don't use that designation lightly. If it blows, the blast could trigger a tsunami threatening Malta, Sicily, and Italy's western coast, especially if Mount Etna's increasingly unstable northern flank collapses into the Mediterranean. Burns sees this through what he calls Earth's metabolism. Just like our bodies convert food into energy and heat, Earth metabolizes cosmic radiation, solar wind, and gravitational stresses into tectonic activity. Increase the input, and the output intensifies proportionally. 3I/ATLAS isn't causing these earthquakes and eruptions. It's amplifying a system already under tremendous strain. The mechanism is measurable. When solar flares erupt, they release neutrons that decay into electrons. Those electrons follow Earth's magnetic field lines, depositing energy into the crust and mantle. In fault zones already near their breaking point, that additional energy can trigger release. Burns has been documenting this correlation with increasing precision, which is why his earthquake forecasts have become uncomfortably accurate. Now let's talk about that Alaska earthquake again, because there's a layer to this story that will make you question everything you think you understand about ancient civilizations. The December 6th quake didn't just randomly occur at the geometric center of Nazca, Giza, and Angkor Wat. It happened at a moment of precise astronomical alignment. Clow proposes something that makes conventional archaeologists uncomfortable. These ancient sites weren't just ceremonial, they were functional. Specifically, she believes they were built as planetary stabilizers, structures designed to interact with Earth's tectonic energy grid. Recent discoveries support this in ways that can't be easily dismissed. In March 2025, Italian researchers used ground-penetrating radar beneath the Giza pyramids and revealed massive structures that confirm what Chris Dunn proposed decades ago in the Giza power plant. These weren't tombs, but technological installations. The Cherokee oral traditions Clow learned from her grandfather record detailed histories spanning 100,000 years. That timeline coincides with what she identifies as Pleiadian influence on Earth. And before you dismiss this as New Age fantasy, consider the evidence. The Pleiades star cluster sits 444 light-years away. Australian Aboriginals knew it contained 7 stars when only 6 are visible to the naked eye today. Knowledge that dates back 100,000 years, before 2 stars merged in Earth's line of sight. Multiple ancient cultures separated by oceans and thousands of years all independently revered the 7 sisters. Burns adds a crucial detail about light and cosmic communication. From a photon's perspective, traveling at light speed, no time passes. Stars, separated by hundreds of light years, communicate instantaneously through electromagnetic radiation. When the Pleiades experienced supernova events around 1054 AD and the 1100s to 1200s, solar cycle intensity on Earth suddenly increased. The mechanism is documented. Interstellar Birkeland currents, flows of electric energy across space, feeding directly into the Sun's polar regions. So where did 3I/ATLAS originate? Burns has identified a compelling candidate, Barnard star, a red dwarf just 6 light-years away, moving toward our solar system faster than any other known star. After decades of debate, recent studies confirmed it has planets. And here's the striking detail. Barnard's star sits slightly above the ecliptic plane, matching 3I/ATLAS's approach trajectory almost exactly. At the object's current velocity, the journey would take approximately 30,000 years. That's not millions of years of interstellar wandering. That's within the time frame of recorded human civilization. In October 2024, NASA released findings from the OSIR-ISREX mission to asteroid Bennu that should have dominated news cycles but barely registered. They found all the building blocks for life, every nucleotide for DNA, ribose sugars, complex amino acid chains they're calling gums. And Bennu is just a common B-type asteroid. Objects from interstellar space, like 3I/ATLAS, accumulate far richer organic chemistry over millions of years, crossing between star systems. The implications for panspermia aren't science fiction anymore. They're data. 3I/ATLAS has been outgassing heavily since perihelion, releasing enormous material quantities that will drift through the inner solar system. Earth passes directly through this region in March-April 2026, exactly when Jupiter will be positioned near 3I/ATLAS's post-perihelion location. Burns describes this as a resonance mechanism, multiple factors converging to catalyze phase transition in an already stressed system. What frustrates both researchers is the systematic information suppression. Clow points to climate change debates that focus exclusively on CO2 while ignoring massive geological forces. Earth's periodic expansion cycles, driven by internal heating from enhanced cosmic radiation and solar amplification. Burns goes further, documenting how thousands of nuclear tests in the 1950s to 60s had global geophysical consequences that were rigorously studied at the time, but later buried. Each detonation injected destabilizing energy into planetary systems, releasing in 2 decades what had been safely sequestered for millions of years. The research papers exist, the data is public, but it contradicts convenient narratives, so it's ignored. In 3 days, everything converges. 3I/ATLAS reaches closest approach during winter solstice, and Earth's perihelion will be at peak interstellar focus cone density during a new moon with Jupiter, Earth, Sun, Venus, Mars, and Pluto in rare alignment. The Saturn-Neptune conjunction is building toward its February 2026 peak. Burns calls this a catalyst, not causing change but enabling it through perfect resonance. Clow has been traveling to 3I/ATLAS nightly in meditation, watching its geometry shift as it passes each planet, as if reprogramming our solar system one world at a time. Burns remains measured but vigilant, his forecasting track record speaking louder than any speculation. 2 researchers, completely different methodologies, identical conclusion. December 21st marks a threshold. What lies beyond it, we're about to discover together. Here's the bottom line. December 21st brings a convergence that hasn't occurred in recorded history. 3I/ATLAS, an interstellar visitor that's traveled for potentially millions of years, reaches its closest point to Earth during a rare alignment of astronomical, geological, and even consciousness factors that researchers like Stephen Burns and Barbara Hand-Clow have been tracking with documented accuracy. Burns predicted Japan's magnitude 7.6 earthquake 30 days in advance. The Alaska quake occurred at the exact geometric center of ancient sites spanning 3 continents. The data doesn't lie, something unprecedented is unfolding. Will December 21st bring visible catastrophe or subtle transformation? We're about to find out together. If you want real-time updates as this unfolds, subscribe to Galactic Breaking News right now and hit that notification bell. You won't get this coverage anywhere else. Smash the like button if this information connected the dots for you. Drop a comment below. Are you watching the skies on December 21st? What's your prediction? Check our playlist for complete 3I/ATLAS coverage. Every detail, every update, every angle we've uncovered. This story isn't over. It's just beginning. Stay with us.